super back and forth like game 1 of M Canning versus Future, but I think M Canning is a player that can always make even like a kind of bad series look interesting, just the way that he plays and his never die attitude. Not sure I could say the same for these players, but I'm hoping that they are well matched. We start off on Oxide for game 1 in the top right as the blue Terran, the newcomer to DreamHack. He is PureLegacy.
And down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have the red Protoss player from Genesis Gaming. He is PiLiPiLi. A young lad.
Great job coming back into StarCraft too. You guys were talking about his pseudo retirements, and I was, I don't know, not totally convinced about his return, but he's doing great.
Yeah, he absolutely, I think, is doing really well. And again, like, I think it's something that sometimes gets undervalued, and maybe it's just something I highly value because I watch a lot of sports anime where this is a very important factor, but the love for the game is so important. I don't actually think, I know that we've like had jokes about certain players in the past who saw a lot of success but didn't actually love the game or anything. I have a hard time believing that you can truly be long-term successful in a game or find any kind of long-term success if you don't have some love for the game, if you don't really enjoy yourself and enjoy the process. And I think that it kind of goes to show PiLiPiLi is a good example of it, where he does actually enjoy the game and love it right now, and it's been working out. Okay.
I really want to add on to your point, and we're just going to briefly mention the barracks, but this is actually kind of important. This wasn't just a fake out, hope I make you mess up your build order. This is more than that. This is, I hope you mess up your build order permanently as you stay confused, think I'm actually one basing. Because right now, PiLiPiLi assumes proxy barracks. Now, as he rechecks, he's going to assume, well, first of all, it wasn't really a proxy barracks. The Marine came home a little bit too soon. But still, that it is something a bit weird. I actually think this is a huge mistake, though. This totally nullifies what I just said. PiLiPiLi getting into the main to see no second gas only leaves him with one answer. There's got to be a command center somewhere. You don't full-on proxy without a second gas, honestly. Like, a 2-rack would have already hit, you know? So he scouts around, he sees the natural, quote-unquote, and hopefully doesn't get back into the main, but there's also a third CC up there.
Yeah, a kind of funny thing also is that while I think PureLegacy should assume that PiLiPiLi scouted that command center location, technically he kept the probe outside the vision range of both the command center that was building and the SCV, so I guess the stalker is going to show up and reveal this. PureLegacy already has lifted up that command center and floated it on over to the actual proper natural expansion. So a little bit of lost mining time, and I guess actually not just lost mining time, also delayed time where the orbital would normally come on up. But this is a bit of a problem now, Zombie Grub, because Zealot is taking on SCVs, the Marine's taking some damage. This is actually there's no bunker here, and this becomes really awkward.
Yeah, it was really awkward. I guess it was just before the extra 2 Marines came, and they would have made probably the difference as far as PiLiPiLi trying that maneuver. But I also think that, you know, understandably so, I don't think you would expect the Protoss to actually push in like that. You know, your anticipation of this game goes exactly as planned for PureLegacy is at the very least, the reaction to the potential barracks proxy keeps them at home for a long time. Yeah, PiLiPiLi got back in and saw that wasn't committed, but even then that should have already, you know, he should have already made his decision. And if PiLiPiLi had made the decision to 4 gate, a guy who was proxying barracks, well, that would have already shown itself. That would have been a problem, honestly, but it didn't. You know, he did what I think is more anticipated, which is to guard, get that Zealot, play at one base for a little bit, and then expand in macro. So that was just kind of a understandably unexpected push into the Terran.
Yeah, it all kind of turns out to be a sort of funny opening that leads into like a normal-ish looking game, because PiLiPiLi invested into some of those early defenses, like getting up the early Zealot that you oftentimes don't get in this matchup, getting the shield battery up at the front and everything. But then there's also the delayed mining time and all that stuff for PureLegacy. It kind of feels like it's somewhat more evened out, at least.
I mean, really, as odd as the openings were, and as much as it could have been different, yeah, actually this is kind of a normal game and actually favors PureLegacy because he gets away with the 3CC, at least so far he's gotten away with it. And with PiLiPiLi only adding on 1 extra gateway for 3 gates, that wouldn't have given him a very powerful stalker attack, he's not going for it anyways. He gets 3 gateways, no warp prism, and then into robotic space. So yeah, officially, PureLegacy has gotten away with a fast 3rd CC, and PiLiPiLi has not realized that.
Yeah, well, the Observer's about to pop on in as he heads over to potentially take a 3rd base pretty soon. He sets up the Observer just at the outskirts, so he's not actually moving in. He's not scouting the 3rd CC or like the lack of any other kind of tech coming on up, like a factory or anything. He pokes in a little bit further forward, but then just retreats back. He just doesn't want to lose this Observer because he's going to use it for the Stalkers to kind of try and do some pressure.
I think he was also worried that he lost track of the bio army, but it has reappeared. So its stim is done. PiLiPiLi should be aware of that. He actually saw the tech lab turning and then stopping.
Ooh, this is nice though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, gonna catch the reinforcements. PureLegacy going for the quickest push out possible. Actually just gets backstabbed instead. Forced to cancel a barracks, loses another one.
Interesting blink. He is going to end up having just a recall over here. Maybe I think he was trying to maybe blink up to the high ground, but didn't quite have vision or something. Regardless, loses an Observer and at least delays that push in. And remember, there's no medevac, so that stim to return home is actually pretty costly.
That is kind of interesting, though. It's like, remember, there's no medevacs. Yeah, of course, that stim does cost him his health, but there's no medevacs because it's a 3cc build. And PiLiPiLi, I'm not even sure he actually still knows. Like, he must assume it's on the way at the very least, but it's already done. PureLegacy doesn't actually have to push in here, and I wish he wouldn't. I don't think he knew the Colossus is going to be there, so he stims again, and now he could be chased down. I think he was totally fine, actually, just waiting for medevacs at home and then pushing.
Yeah, I think that probably would have ended up being the better call in that situation, especially since PiLiPiLi, I mean, he did have an Observer over the army for PureLegacy because I think his first Observer was over the natural and the second Observer was literally just on the army in the middle of the map. So he knew how large the army was. He felt like, okay, I'm going to buy a little bit of time and cool, I'm good to go. And now he's been able to get up to the Colossus, getting up Thermal Lance, adding on all of his gateways, getting up charge. And this is a comfortable spot for a Protoss to be.
It is. Even though his economy hasn't been as much as you would hope, it's really not been the worst. You know, PureLegacy, I mean, first of all, I'm being like super critical. I don't think his build order has been perfect. I don't think it's been macroed perfectly, that is, right? I think if we had innovation, you know, the go-to for a macro game, I think he's got, you know, more supply, faster saturation, whatever. And then second of all, I do think that he's had to deal with a couple more bamboozles than he was hoping. I think he really wanted to be in control of this game. And with only a couple of, like, you know, small aggressive decisions, PiLiPiLi has actually kind of messed up PureLegacy's flow. So 8-minute medevacs here, on the defensive, equal supply. I don't think that's what PureLegacy was hoping to be at right now.
Yeah, one thing I will give credit to PureLegacy for, though, is that his upgrades are doing a lot better than PiLiPiLi's, who's definitely delayed his. Only just now finished up the forges, but still hasn't actually started up his 1-1. So there's going to be a kind of growing time period where 2-2 will be finished up when PiLiPiLi's still on 0-0. And that will eventually be a problem. But with the Warp Prism coming on out, 3 Colossus out, it really does feel like PiLiPiLi wants to make a push in over here. This is a bit of an awkward angle, but the force field's maybe locking back enough of the bio that PiLiPiLi's going to take the better end of that trade.
Yeah, the right side really wasn't really going that well. I mean, I like the idea of that concave or potential surround, but it simply didn't work out. PureLegacy now down 30 supply, pulling the SCVs in, and forced to tap out. GG. PiLiPiLi takes game number 1. Despite all attempts to throw him off his game, I actually think the reverse happened. I think PureLegacy was supposed to be big brain, 1000 IQ, but actually just looked like, you know, an okay player and a bit worse than PiLiPiLi.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, I mean, PureLegacy's plan was not to, for example, have to float the the natural command center back to his actual natural expansion, and not to have to go through all of those kind of shenaniganry and deal with the zealot stalker attack and all that stuff. So yeah, didn't quite go exactly the way that PureLegacy planned, but hey, I mean, good identification there from PiLiPiLi. I think he kind of had to do something there a little bit, just because he was so late on his upgrades, but he absolutely made it work, even with PureLegacy's attempt at that big flank.
Yeah, that almost was like a really cool idea, right? But it was like a little mistimed, like the weak Marines had already taken so much damage. But it was a very cool idea. Didn't end up saving him. And it was, you know, he was up against someone that was being Very dedicated. Now, initially, PiLiPiLi might have skipped forges to make sure that he defended, but once he realized it, like, wasn't really anything to defend, the bio without the medevacs, he was like, okay, I'll just turn this into an attack. I wouldn't be surprised if that was actually the case. And the attack works out so well because PureLegacy didn't actually, I don't know, play that build order as I would have hoped. Now, I'm not his coach. I'm not better than him, that's for sure. But I feel like the moves that he did were always just a little bit more awkward, They were without the medevac. They were already stimmed. They didn't hit as fast as they wanted to. Whereas PiLiPiLi, he was forced to react, but he did it so calmly. It just looked like his plan all along.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Well, we get ready to move into 2000 atmospheres for game number 2. I think also some people notice, including Smix, that there are people, in fact, behind PiLiPiLi right now, and they're like sitting on a couch in vision of his camera. So I don't know exactly where he is right now, but what I do know is that he has been kind of like this migrationary person lately. I know that he's been spending a lot of time like living with cats as well, and kind of like, I don't know, it almost seems like he's been couch surfing or something.
Maybe, yes. I was gonna guess like college dorm, but then like universities like let out, and also like how many people are living in dorms with COVID.
He's also graduated at this point. So.
Oh yeah, also that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I mean that might explain the flag that's behind him, right? Because you're also guessing what that was. Was it Ireland? Was it Ireland? Am I correct about that?
Yeah, that was in fact Ireland, according to so some of our wonderful production folks.
Yeah, maybe it's his friend's favorite. What I really wanted to have happen was when PiLiPiLi won, I wanted them to do the meme image of like the 4 guys on the couch, like, fist bumping.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But they had no reaction whatsoever. So
it's actually a green screen. There's nobody there at all.
It's the day 9 thing where he actually green screens his old room and it's not even real. Yeah.
He just takes down the green screen in an interview, and it's literally just the same room, but the couch is empty because he's like, I don't actually have any friends. We're in quarantine right now.
Oh, I'm not sure I'm supposed to bring this up on stream, but it looks, let's just say that it seems like his friends are helping him. So PiLiPiLi is good to go for game 2. He's got a crowd behind him cheering him on, maybe replicating that offline feel. And he's up 1-0 versus PureLegacy.
Yeah, I see what you mentioned. I'm not allowed to bring up, but that's pretty great. And it's very suiting, for PiLiPiLi. He's there to celebrate the victories with his friends. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, indeed.
Even if it is like 2 p.m. on a Saturday for him.
Yeah, I feel like Twitch chat's gonna go crazy with guessing, though. It might actually be better to say what it was.
I feel like the 2 p.m. on a Saturday is a good indicator.
Well, yeah, all right. Well,
yeah.
In the bottom left of 2000 atmospheres, we have PiLiPiLi.
And in the top right, we have the blue Terran player. He is PureLegacy. Amazing. All right. Well, that last game was a lot of shenaniganry there, attempting to open up from PureLegacy. But yeah, PiLiPiLi has actually been no stranger to shenanigans himself, I feel like. A lot of the time, PiLiPiLi was kind of like, what I would call, he was like the adept all-inner, like the ultimate North American adept all-inner. Half of his games, I feel like, with his big successful period, were off of the back of pressures and adepts. And I think his famous matches at IM Katowice involved the proxy robo shenanigans and stuff. Like he is absolutely someone who will also put on the pressure if he feels like he has an opportunity to.
That is definitely true. Just want to go ahead and back you up there with the adepts, especially. maybe a little less so lately, but still a good way to get some free victories. Maybe not in this matchup. Could still do something odd or aggressive. A 4-gate I would not be surprised to see on a map like Romanicide, but here on 2000 Atmospheres, we do have a more normal looking TVP with no hidden barracks, no command center off to the side. I loved PureLegacy's idea of just throwing PiLiPiLi off. First of all, I thought that was great, loved it, and I loved that it actually was macro. So it was really supposed to bamboozle in like multiple ways. And I love that the third CC came down. I just think that the play from then was not super streamlined. Whereas PiLiPiLi, as I already said, like he looked calm, collected. It looked like he was doing a build even when he was probably actually also responding. It still looked great. So I ultimately feel like, I mean, you guys talked about it, maybe PiLiPiLi's experience being on the big stage is going to actually come through here, as game number 2 is once again 3cc, and PiLiPiLi is on his way to Blink.
Yes, he is. And I think it brings me back. There was a point in time where I was talking to a lot of NA players and just basically doing interviews on what they thought of certain other players like Jon Snow or Scarlet or Neve and all that stuff. And basically 7 or 8 other North American StarCraft players all said about PiLiPiLi completely independently from each other, without the other ones being in the room. There's no shared answers on this. They're all just like, PiLiPiLi's best advantage is that he has a great killer instinct. When he feels like there's an opportunity to just end a game, like he pounces on it very quickly, and he's usually pretty good at identifying when those moments are. So, whoa, this Stalker is already 3 kills, and it's still going. No bunker really still, awkward. I guess.
Yeah, so this is awkward mostly because PureLegacy opened no Reaper right into the reactor, which actually gives you enough Marines to deal with an Adept opener, which is the far most common opener that Protoss do in this matchup, because the Adept can scout and hang around and also do a little bit of damage if it can. The fact that PiLiPiLi went for a Stalker first meant that it could actually kite the Marines, right? It actually just outranges Marines directly, and we're on a map that doesn't have a natural ramp. So, I mean, regardless of the actual opener, it is still playing with fire to not go for a bunker against a Protoss. That's why we see people just typically do it no matter what. And in this case, it is already backfiring. I mean, it might not seem like a lot, but the Marine count is actually starting to grow in absurd numbers. 11 Marines right there have gone down.
I mean, there is 1 Marine on the map right now, Zombie Garb. I feel like it's absolutely a lot at this point. He has killed almost a medevac and a half worth of Marines.
that's a way to contextualize it, that's for sure. That's just, as I said, like he opens up knowing that he can take on an Adept, but a Stalker was a very different issue, and not many Protosses open Stalker. Like Zest does it a lot, I think, or did it a lot rather, past tense, but it's overall, I guess, a lot more rare than the Adept. And I think this also is just the biggest green light for PiLiPiLi to actually go into a 4-gate Stalker attack. I'm surprised he's not doing it, because we do have 4 gateways, but there's no Warp Prism. So I don't know if he second guessed and he's like, wait, what if there are tanks or something? But for how long he didn't see a factory unit, I feel like PiLiPiLi could actually even tell that it was a bio follow-up, or even a 3rd CC follow-up. He hasn't seen it exactly, but I think there's like little minute details where you could figure it out. This is going to confirm it. And he is finally adding on that Warp Prism.
Yeah, Warp Prism nearly finished at this point. So as he moves in with the Observer, and I don't even know if there are enough Marines to scan and kill it at this point. There's like 5 of them. So he's going to have full vision of everything very, very easily. Has his own Observer, a second Observer over here as well to provide backup high ground vision. Oh boy, PureLegacy, you lost a lot of units in the early game. Establishing a 3rd base this early might be a little bit difficult.
The odd thing that happens with this faster 3 racks follow-up, it was off a 3rd CC, but it is still 3 barracks, is that give him another 30 seconds, and that's just actually an overpowering amount of bio. PiLiPiLi delayed his 4-gate blink. He added the Nexus first, and I think that maybe the timing's already gone. The amount of Marauders is pretty feisty here, as it stims on top of the Stalkers. He's going to grab quite a few, but now I guess it's the idea that maybe PiLiPiLi can outproduce PureLegacy, which I think is true. He's got the double blink going on as well. Yeah, PureLegacy probably should have just evacuated as soon as he saw the Stalker numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it almost looked like it was going pretty favorably there for PureLegacy as he pounced on those Stalkers after a little bit too far forward of an aggressive flank from PiLiPiLi. But yeah, now the 3rd base is going to have to be evacuated. Scan comes out. There's not even an Observer. It's still there to actually go pick off. Actually, it is, but it doesn't actually send the Marines over. I guess he didn't see it. Oh, he saw it too late. Scan's expired.
Yeah, he doesn't have a scan. That was a bit awkward. I mean, PureLegacy wasn't even just on 3 barracks. He actually already had 4th and 5th, and even stopped adding on their add-ons to try and get a couple more Marines. But once again, not taking the Stalkers seriously, I think every time he does that move out, he stims and takes on the Stalkers, he reveals how much he has. He, kind of confirms the next round of Stalkers can actually jump in on top of him. And that's exactly what PiLiPiLi does. That killer instinct really coming into effect. A lot of other players would have just backed away by now, but he's like, nah, I can continue to whittle down the bio.
Absolutely. Force Field even locks in any of these units. A lot of the bio is actually just popping in on the low ground as well, so it can't even get into a safe position with the high ground position at the ramp. So blinks up. GG. PiLiPiLi is going to take the